because the guy was stabbed in the neck and his main artery severed. He bled out, and that you could just imagine how much blood was on the floor because they left him there. It congealed around because he laid there for 7 hours. It congealed around his body. Well, we was coming in from yard when it happened, and then we were redirected back out to the yard. We stayed out there for about an hour, from about 2 to 3, and then we were directed into the gym. There was like 35 people that was redirected to the gym, and we stayed over there until 9 o'clock at night. Then they let us come back after they came and got the body at about 9, and then right after the coroner came and got the body, they let us come back to the unit. In Michigan, since the coronavirus, because I contacted my mother while I was on yard. I called her and got her to get a hold of ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS locals. She was able to talk to someone with ABC Channel 7 Detroit News to report, because the Michigan Department of Corrections does try to withhold that information. And she went online to see if they had posted it yesterday, and they hadn't. But she had found something online. Homicides in Michigan prison system has increased like 500% in the last 2 years, 2.5 years since coronavirus. And there's a correlation there because we have nothing to do. There's no programming. There's nothing to do. They're back to warehousing, so the violence has increased. So it's becoming an epidemic when you have, multiple homicides throughout the year in corrections. It was, the guy he didn't have much time left either, and he was in his 20s. So it was, and I know his family's devastated because he was, he had a lot of family to support them. And this is his first time in prison. But it's becoming a serious issue with major assaults and, a lot of stuff that's going on. I mean, even with staff assaults, they said that's up like 400, 500% also across the state in Michigan. Yeah. It's one thing, I kind of mentioned it in another conversation. Our military staff go overseas to a war-torn country and spend 12 months deployment, maybe a little bit longer, because of their witnessing violence and sometimes a threat against themselves, the fear that they feel inside, the emotion that is developed. When they come back home, sometimes they're diagnosed with severe PTSD. Now, because they're faced with violence and witness violence for, 12 months deployment, what about prisoners that have spent 30 years incarcerated and seen multiple homicides, have seen multiple assaults, and have been under threat of multiple assaults? But they're neglected, and it's, how'd you develop PTSD? The psychologists, even when they're released, they're ignored from that. But it is the same. Actually, I would look at it as more of a PTSD because of the fact that it's hand-on-hand combat. It's not shooting from a distance as the military or roadside bombs from a distance. It's, hand-on-hand combat. So it would seem like it would affect you more when looking at it as a diagnosis from a psychological or mental illness standpoint.
Yeah. You, like every time that you come within close distance to a person, like a small part of your brain, at least, has to be dedicated to that, to imagining, what if this goes wrong? How do I protect myself here? Like, that never really shuts off anyway in prison for a survivor, doing a long bid. And it just seems like it's being activated right now with COVID. And I hear from some of your other partners in the other prisons about the correlation there with the drug epidemic as well, since COVID getting
Yes.
so worse and just escalating the temperature, if you will, inside of the units, so that it's not like people aren't leaving you in there in a hostage situation. They are, and hopefully that's what they'll hear out of this.
Because yesterday because the guy was stabbed in the neck and his main artery severed, he bled out, and that you could just imagine how much blood was on the floor because they left him there. It congealed around because he laid there for 7 hours. It congealed around his body, and all they do is put up, blockers until the coroner gets there. So, I mean, seeing that, looking at that, witnessing that is, that's traumatic itself, to see that much blood, that much stuff.
Yeah. So that trauma is about to go live in your body now, given what I understand of it.